Hi, I'm Kelly from AMS, here with Blake from Yamaha.
We have the Montage M8X here. Can you walk me through what makes this model so special?
Absolutely. Well, this is a follow-up to our Montage music synthesizer, and it's been upgraded and enhanced in a whole lot of different ways. Basically, we like to talk about this product as in three kind of areas. Great sound, really cool real-time control, and very cool workflow. And all three of those aspects that were the same in the Montage have been enhanced in Montage M8X. Lots of new stuff to go through here. Previously on the Montage, we had AWM2, which we have in this one too, and we've enhanced that technology in here. We have FMX, which we have in this instrument too, but we have a new sound engine called ANX. And what ANX is an analog type of a virtual analog. So a sound that's one that I really love here is one that's called one of those PAT, which stands for Polyphonic Aftertouch. And that's the other cool thing about the M8X. The X in M8X is for Polyphonic Aftertouch. So what that is, and I'll just play the sound first here so you get an idea. And so you can really hear it. I'm going to adjust the filter. So turn up the resonance here. Now, if I want to just increase the amount of filter on this E flat right here in this C minor chord, I just press one finger in.
That's super cool.
How about the fifth? So it's a very cool, expressive way to interact with the sound. We had Polyphonic Aftertouch. We've had it in previous products like the CS80, which is our famous analog synthesizer. Well, now we have the M8X, which brings back that Polyphonic Aftertouch. And it's a great expressive type of synth thing that is just really fun to play. .64 by 512 screen that's above the knobs. Before we didn't have a screen like this. It's really cool. It's really informative. So if I want to, like, what I did there was the ANX sound here has three oscillators. So I can instantly see what each oscillator is doing right here. Pitch and filter. So what I just did was I access one of the two filters that I have in this sound. And by just touching right here, I can move through the cutoff frequency and resonance of the filter. I can change the filter type here, of which I have about 10 different filter types for the ANX engine in here. And another cool thing about this is if I want to look at this sound in more detail, I can press this page jump and it takes all the stuff that's in here and it moves it over into the touchscreen. And I get even more stuff that I can see at a glance, which is a very cool thing. It makes editing sounds and interacting with sounds in real time much easier to do. If I want to move what's in here, like let's say I move over to the effect, each of these sounds has up to 2 insertion effects. So I'm looking at this delay effect right here. Now, if I just want to move that delay into the quick edit screen, that's what we call this. This is the quick edit area. If I hold down this shift button right here and press page jump, it takes what's in the screen. And look, it's the delay effect that we were looking at. But now I have each of these knobs controlling it underneath here, and I can get to things very easily like that as well. So the page jump, that's part of the usability of this instrument that's really changed in how I interact with sounds and how I edit sounds. Quick edit and this page jump, it just makes it much easier to get around on stuff.
That's awesome. It's a super full sound.
When I'm writing, I tend to prefer more acoustic and organic type sounds. How would somebody who lives in a more singer-songwriter world use the Montage M8X and really make the best of it?
I think a big issue with a singer-songwriter in trying to find sounds that you're looking for is how to find sounds. I mean, this instrument alone has 2,700 performances on board. So how do I find sounds that are relevant to me? That's what this category search is all about. And the category search in this instrument has really been enhanced. It's much easier to find things. So I have my category right here, keyboards, pianos, organs, guitars. So the ones in the top area here are going to be more emulative instruments, acoustic instruments. And then the bottom 8 are going to be more synths and drum kits. So it's pretty easy to find stuff. And then when you're in this category, you also have a subcategory right under there that I can look at. I want to look at layered piano. So piano and layer. And over here, I see exactly what's listed here. And we have these new display buttons that we added to this instrument too that allow you to really move through things and select things that change based on whatever mode you're in. So in this category search mode, I can use this to page down into the different sounds. I can sort things, but the category search feature makes it really easy to find stuff. Another thing, let's say you had a montage and you want to only hear the sounds of the Montage M. Well, if I go over here to Attribute, which is right next to it, let's say all I want to do is look at the AWM2 sound, so I'm going to select that, so only AWM2, and then I just want sounds that are new to Montage M. That first sound, that CFX Concert, well, that's based on the original Montage, so that doesn't show up as Montage M, but I have these tons of new pianos in here. One of them that I have in here is one called the Hamburg Grand. In fact, I'll do the Mellow Hamburg Grand. It's just a different grand piano. It has a different sound. It's a German concert grand that we sampled for this. So really beautiful sounds, but that's how you find sounds in this instrument. So let's say we go back here to category. And now what I want to do is not acoustic pianos, but I want to go to keyboard. So these would be more electric pianos and so on. Let's say what I want to find in here is anything in the keyboard category that uses both the AWM2 and the ANX engine and just Montage M sounds. So I can find them very quickly just like this as well. Here's some new kind of sounds that way. But those would be kind of more of the singer-songwriter type of sounds, I think, that are new to this instrument.
Now, if I were going to perform live with this thing as a solo performer,
How would I use this to get a really big live sound out of it?
Well, it depends on what you're going for. Let's say what you wanted is something like a big orchestral sound. This one's called SFZ Tremolo BPM Sync. It's a big name, but this is a cool sound because we can use these buttons that are called scenes right here. What scenes do is they change different sounds that are being muted or active, and you can change it in real time. So the first one here, just the strings, right? But if I select a scene here, now I'm going to add things like so it still has the tremolo in there, but it has some additional stuff, additional arpeggios and stuff like that. It's just a cool sound to play. I created this performance, Kelly's keys, your keys. So in this performance, what I have here is I have a piano, I have an electric piano, and I have a pad of a analog synthesizer. So you saw before that I can change which ones are active by saving them in scenes. So right now I just turned on what's called keyboard control. Now I did it in the screen here, and if I hold down this shift button, I can save that to a scene. Now, when I have the whole performance selected, I can move through different, and play different sounds, right, by changing the scenes. Here's the... But the cool thing about this instrument is that we added keyboard control as a selectable thing. So when I'm playing and I don't want to worry about scenes or anything, I can just freely turn on and off things that I don't want. So if I'm on the bridge, I want to play the electric piano, right? But then I can literally just go over here and turn off keyboard control on everything else. And now I have the acoustic piano. If I turn this on here, I can select with the pad. The pad's too loud. I have volume control for each of the sounds right here. Now we could do this before in scenes, and you can do it by touching in the touchscreen, but it's really cool to have access to any of the parts in a performance with just a couple of buttons and direct faders. It's a much faster way to keep you kind of in the music and not into, you know, what's saving in these scenes and stuff. The keyboard control is one of the coolest things. And the cool thing about it too is that if I have this sound here and I turn both of those off, and now I just have the electric piano, you notice that it's still holding those notes, so it's not cutting off any sounds. until I release the sustain pedal. It carries over the performance single mode concept that we introduced in Montage, but the way to interact with individual parts is much faster. You can also select individual parts for editing by going over here and pressing Part Select, and it shows in the Quick Edit screen the things that you can edit on a specific part, things like this ANX part right here, or an AWM part. It's just very easy to get around and select things and edit things without having to go super deep in the menu.
Awesome, great. Can you walk me through how you would record and store performances on the Montage M8X?
So to record on this instrument, we have Performance Recorder is what it is. And there's 3 different ways that you can record. So if I touch the record button and I get it ready here, I have the pattern record mode. That's basically you can record up to 8 sections. They can be anywhere from 1 to 256 measures long. So I can record like an intro, a verse, a chorus, and so on. Let's say I just want to record and I just want to capture anything. I just want to sit there and free improvise until I say stop. That's what I like to use for the song mode. The song mode just allows me to do that really quick. And just keep recording, and then when I hit stop, so it's just a linear song. And then finally, there's audio. If I feel like I've got it all together and I really want to record a piece of audio and maybe move it over to my computer and convert it to a smaller format to send to somebody on email or whatever, that's a good way to use the audio recording. So there's 3 different ways to do it, and there they are. Something that we added in this instrument is a dedicated tap tempo button. So I can just sit here and say, you know, if I decide I want to record at about this tempo, 3, 4, and 4/4 time, the tap tempo will allow me to do that. So I have it set now where I want it. I'll go back to my performance here, Kelly's keys, and I'm going to hit the record button. So first thing, I'll lay down a piano track here. So we'll hit record. Now, what I want to do right when I do this, if I'm not sure what I want to record, I just want to rehearse it, but I don't want to pull out of the recording process, I hit this button again, and it blinks, and it says you're in record rehearse mode. So now I have something I laid down here. Now, when I drop to this record rehearse mode, I can now turn off keyboard control and turn off maybe the one on the pad sound that we added before. So if I want to add pads, so I'll drop in here now. Another cool thing about this is without really leaving the record mode, let's say I want to add a bass to this, I can touch a part and it drops me in a category search. I can maybe select bass. Let's say I want an acoustic bass. I can see one right here. Still, like I said, I'm in record rehearse. Now, even though I have the keyboard control, because I'm directly selecting that part, the only thing that I'll be able to play is the bass sound. So it's pretty easy. That's exactly how you record on it. Now, after I have this set up, there's some cool things that I can do to the sound here. I have a thing called play effects. Play effects just are non-destructive groove quantized templates, basically.
Oh, cool.
So I can go through here, and while I'm playing and listening to it back, I can touch on the right here and press Shift and solo just the piano track, each of the tracks with that solo. So Shift, solo, anything that's in red is a shift command. So if I want to listen to this back and maybe turn on a 16th note quantized strength, or quantized value rather, and then there's the strength button right here. Notice that I have these knobs under here. I can do it in the touch screen, but having these knobs is pretty cool because I can immediately just turn up as much quantized as I want. So it's a very kind of cool way that we can get in here and, you know, create sounds, instantly record, add tracks, fix the tracks. It's really a cool, straightforward system. And with all these new knobs, like the display knobs, and the ability to use keyboard control, the ability to instantly mute and solo things while I'm doing that. It makes it really easy to record stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And can you use it connected to a DAW?
Absolutely. So a cool thing about this is when you go back to my performance mode in here, there's actually a dedicated button that we put in here that's called DAW Remote. So the first thing, if I want to just connect the hardware instrument, just this instrument, to any DAW, I can press that DAW Remote, and it puts me into the area here where now all these sliders, the transport control, can control the DAW. So I'm going to go to Settings over here, and there's different DAWs that it supports right out of the box. Cubase is one of them. We own Steinberg, so that makes sense. Logic is another really popular one. So we have a Logic Pro template for DAW. We have Pro Tools template. And then we have Live. So if you use Ableton Live, you can select there. So let's say we're using Live. I'm going to set it to Live here. Now I'll go back here to Knob Slider, and you have Track, Plugin, and Transport. What Track allows me to do is literally track each of the individual tracks, either as MIDI or audio, and then each of these faders will show up in the remote. It actually will show it up on the track, the name, if I've named it in the DAW, and then I can use these knobs or the faders and the knobs to control volume and pan positioning. And then you also have this DAW transport control, so it controls the transport in the connected DAW. If I select plugin, what that does is it changes these now to control any virtual instrument that I have in the DAW. So cool. It just sets it up, but I still have transport control. Now, if I want to then be able to access any of my sounds, and you notice this is the same one that we just, the Kelly's Keys one here. It's the same sounds here. Now what I can do is I can edit the sounds with the DAW, but I still have transport control to the DAW. So I can start and stop. So if I'm playing along and I'm working with a virtual instrument, I can go to the track, select that virtual instrument track, go to plugin, edit the virtual instrument, realize, oh, I want to mess with the sound inside Montage M. I'll go to transport, mess with that sound. Okay, now I have all my tracks in front of me. Now I want to go back to track mode and just start mixing. So it's really elegantly set up to work as a DAW remote. But there's something even cooler that's about to happen with this instrument. In 2024, we are going to release what's called ESP, so the Extended Synth Plugin. And what that is the Montage M as a virtual instrument. The initial release of the Montage M ESP, that's what it's called, will be just the quick edit. And then later on in the year, in 2024, we'll release a full edit version. So that instrument is either VST3 format, which is Steinberg's, or AU, Audio Unit, which is Apple's platform for virtual instruments. It will be free to all Montage M owners. And the beauty of this means that, let's say I'm working here and I'm using the pattern sequencer, I can go over and move that sound or the sequence over to the DAW and work in the DAW. And then if I leave and I go on a trip, but I still want to edit sounds, I can go over to my computer and open up the VST or the audio unit, depending on which platform I'm using, and I can still do my mixing of the sounds with the sounds of the instrument, or I can double or triple or quadruple the power of Montage M by opening up multiple instances of the DAW or of the plugin in the DAW itself. So it's a very cool, elegant integration with the computer that you have with Montage M. So that's kind of an unprecedented thing for a flagship instrument like this to have that kind of computer integration.
Yeah, it's super awesome.
Yeah.
Can you show me a couple more of your favorite sounds?
One of the cool things about this instrument that I absolutely dig, so there's a lot of new sounds, new pianos. I play the Hamburg Grand. That's a beautiful German grand piano. There's a cool felt piano. I love this sound. So a felted piano this is basically a U1 upright piano that when you hit on a traditional U1, when you hit the soft pedal, it brings down a piece of felt that drops in front of it. So the felt piano has become a very, beautiful sort of cinematic. And as you turn the super knob, which is this macro controller that changes multiple parameters simultaneously, you can watch it change over here, changing all those parameters, it adds this kind of more So I love the felt piano. It's such a cool, intimate,
really nice.
beautiful sound. Tamtam Adventures, that's the name of this. So what a tamtam is a giant gong kind of thing, right? So and there's super dynamic kinds of sounds in here, or this one here. Now, because we have an arpeggio in here, it just added a drum groove to it. But what happens if I hit this one? This is not just tam-tams, it's all. So it's like a... It's like video game.
Yeah.
A cool thing about these sounds, by the way, that I should point out is the audition button. So let's say you run on this and you're like, well, that's cool. These are cool timpanis, but you know, what can you do with them? Well, the audition plays basically a short demo sequence, but it also will change the super knob so you get an idea of what each of the controls do. So if I hit that audition, you get an idea of what this is. There's also a lot of cool, these more, I mean, this one's called Cinematic Action Riser. So there's very cinematic kind of things. You can see the Polyphonic Aftertouch. And that adds an effect called the spiralizer effect. I'm totally here. Again, if you want to hear what it does, hit the audition. You can watch it kind of do its thing. Something that's cool too, you can see this in the overhead. This they put a little oscilloscope screen in here. That's a really cool icon, candy to watch, which I kind of dig. But I can change the display and how I want it to look in here as well by changing view. The trailer one. Tons of sounds like this in here that they added there just for. It's like an instant film score.
Yeah.
Just that one performance. Check this out. So cool. That's the stuff I love about this Tyrannosaur. Like I say, the orchestral stuff that's in here. So this one's actually using ANX. So there's some analog stuff in here as well, but it also has orchestral brass in there. So it has that sort of, you know, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, you know, when it comes into on the scene. It's a good cinematic kind of thing there. So in Montage M, one of the things that's really cool is the organs are greatly improved. Part of the reason is because we added the VCM rotary speaker effect to the instrument, because the rotary speaker is such an important part of that sound. So the VCM rotary speaker effect is what's doing that. That's what we also included in this instrument as well. So I can, you know, increase the speed of the organ. I can also use the ribbon controller if I want to. But another cool thing about this is not only do we have the better VCM rotary speaker, we also can enter into the instrument itself and change the direction of the faders. So in a traditional drawbar organ, drawbars pull down to get the sound. So each of those are partials. Well, you can see that's what I'm doing here. I can pull down drawbars. So it's behaving more like an organ, like by pulling them down, pushing them back in when you don't want them. So if I want to pull back just like the fundamental 8-foot drawbar, which is this one right here, but it's behaving like an organ. And for organists, that's a really important thing. So we've added that functionality to Montage M as well.
When I was messing around with it, I really liked the lo-fi sounds that were in there. Can you walk us through a couple of the lo-fi sounds the Montage has?
Yeah, there's some great sounds, and there's lots of tools in here to make anything lo-fi, which is a very cool thing. So I'm going to select category search. And the cool thing about this is I can go into a name search and just throw in the name L-O-F-I and see what happens. So if I go L-O-F-I, anything that's in the instrument that's maybe not in, I take off the categories entirely, so I'm out of here. I have those three sounds, lo-fi basement piano. So I found stuff that is going to be lo-fi. And I think the lo-fi tines is the one that you like, right? Cool. And this is a cool one because as soon as you pull this particular sound up, you see it's got RD78, which is one of our electric pianos, but then there's one that says vinyl noise. So that's just a sound that they added to it.
Yeah.
But I have control. Now, what this is showing here is I can use the super knob, and right now it's only assigned to this tremolo. So it's going to bring up kind of more of that effect. But you notice that they've named each of these, you can customize these assignables. So things like darkness, hall, room, detune, vinyl click, vinyl noise, and vinyl stop. So if you start playing with stuff in here, so it's using so that's going to add a little bit of that noise sound.
Yeah.
Vinyl click is going to give me the pops on a record a little bit. So now I have that. And darkness. That's what just darkens it out. So there's stuff in here that is set at like a baseline, what we started with, and then we have controls over here to bring in more of that vinyl-y, lo-fi kind of. But I want to show you something else too that's kind of cool. If you go into, we'll take the pristine CFX concert here, right? What if I want to make that lo-fi? So it's an effect, and there's a category of effects in there. So if I select that part and I hit edit, I'm going to change this VCM EQ to a different type of an effect. And you see there's things like, and I'll just use this knob here, another thing, that the display knob just for moving around and looking at stuff. So you have reverbs, delays, choruses, flangers, phasers, tremolo, rotary, distortion, compression, lo-fi. Now when you see this, it's already degraded the sound quite a lot. But if I select something like this in this area here, I can change the sampling frequency. So right now the sampling frequency, 44.1 is CD quality, right? Well, this is set at 14.7. So definitely already it's there. But if you move the sampling frequency all the way down to like, still a piano. In fact, you can turn off the effect. You can tell it's a piano, but I can just turn it on and off. Right? If I find something that kind of works there, where you still have something playable. You can also adjust the word length. So bring up the sampling frequency. And then the other thing that's cool about a sound like this too, if I just want to quickly change something like the filter, I can immediately go over. Now I'm going over here to do that. I still have this screen. I want to keep this screen here. I just want to be able to get to my filter, so I can use the quick edit to grab that and give it a little bit more darkness if I want it. So, and that's just another way to take a traditional sound, any sound, and apply one of those effects to it. That was one of them. There's the lo-fi effect. There's also the bit crusher. Bit crusher gives it another type of a kind of a digital bit reduction effect. Other sounds that are really cool in here, again, anything in the ANX category, but there's some really specific, cool, I think, drums that they've used the ANX or the FMX technology to do that. And that's where you can find some really interesting, like the analog drum machine stuff. That's only using the ANX and FMX. And you notice that as I move this, it's showing what these have been set up here. So there's FM parameters that have been assigned to it. But if I select one of the parts in here, like the bass drum part here, remember you can solo a part. I can go and look at what we can do here, like maybe change the filter for this part. So there's tons of stuff for lo-fi that are already in the instrument that you can use for effects, or you can kind of search for stuff and, and build them your own. I encourage anyone, if they get an instrument like this, the ability to change the sound is what's really powerful. You can really mess with things and form them how you want it to sound.
Thank you so much. I feel like we could talk about this for a million years.
I know,
probably.
It's absolutely, I love this instrument. It's really fun to, all the different upgrades, the different sounds that are coming out of it, but the real-time control is really cool.
Before we go, can you quickly break down some of the differences between the three Montage models?
Sure. Okay, so we have the M8X. This is 88-note balanced GEX action is what we call this action. This action is brand new to our synth world. It is kind of the DNA from our hybrid piano world is where this action comes from. But because we have that technology, we've taken that type of action into this instrument. So it feels amazing. But the other thing about the M8X is that X is the polyphonic aftertouch. So this instrument has this brand new GEX weighted action and polyphonic aftertouch. Now the M7 and the M6, those internally, and this whole, everything's the same. Everything's the same. The difference is the action on all of these models. So the action of that one, it doesn't do polyphonic aftertouch. It does channel aftertouch, but it uses our pretty acclaimed FSX action, which we've had for a while out there. It's a great semi-weighted synth style action. Super nice. So the 7 and the 6 use that action. And for the 6, a 61-note keyboard, to me, we sort of think of that as for a synthesis, for somebody that wants a smaller footprint maybe, and 61 notes is fine. They're really into sound creation and things like that. For me, as a keyboardist, if I have a top keyboard, a lot of times I might want maybe not an 88-note one, but I want a little bit bigger than 61. So the 76-note Montage M7 is great for a keyboardist. So because of the size, it's still the same action as the 6, but a little bit bigger keyboard. So we have, the synthesis for the M6, the keyboardist for the M7, and then for like a pianist or someone that really wants a killer weighted action instrument that's the center of their studio that has polyphonic aftertouch. That's very cool. Another thing you'll notice on the back of this instrument, there's 2 USB ports. So one, I can use either one to load and save sounds using a flash drive, but the other one can be used for connecting a USB MIDI controller. So you can have either a keyboard controller or a drum pad and directly connect to it and control sounds with that as a kind of a cool thing. You can also, it'll receive polyphonic aftertouch from that area too. So there's some instruments that are out there, the controllers that may have that. You can add that to something like an M6 or an M7 as another control input to the instrument itself, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving us such an awesome demo, Blake.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me. I love coming out here. It's great.
Of course.
I've had the Montage M8X for a couple days, and after messing around with it, I figured some of the lo-fi sounds were really cool for my style. I picked the sound, the lo-fi tines specifically. I really liked the feeling that it evoked, so I wrote a quick verse and a chorus just based on that feeling, and here's the song.
You're an old wound, a bloody knuckle, bending as I punch. If I could learn to They feed you so well. They feed you so well.
For more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and head on over to AmericanMusical.com to check out the Montage M8X.